I'm not making money off this. I probably talked to easily 100 people
Yeah.
about Portugal. Like I must be, I don't smoke weed, but this must be what happens when you're the weed guy. Like people like, hey man, Johnny said to talk to you about, you know what? People call me, hey man, Marcus said to call you. I'm like, I don't know who Marcus is. Okay, but anyway, I'll tell you about Portugal.
Welcome to Robins Have Wings, a travel podcast about taking flight and embarking upon unexpected journeys near or far. I'm Robin Bennefield, an award winning content marketing strategist who's led content and podcast productions for brands like Marriott Bonvoy, Travel Channel, and Discovery. And now I'm hosting my own podcast to share my personal journeys, travel tips, and musings in the hopes that maybe they'll inspire you to take flight and take unexpected journeys of your own. I just came back from 2 weeks in Portugal. I've been really interested in visiting this place for some time. Every single person that comes back from Portugal raves. They talk about the food and the wine, the beaches, the laid-back vibes, and really, really kind people. Plus, a lot of Black Americans are moving to Portugal. Which brings me to Rory Verrett, who you heard at the start of this podcast. I guess I'm one of the 100 or so people that have reached out to him for his perspective on Portugal, particularly as a Black American who moved to Lisbon with his wife and daughter in 2022, I think. Rory has kind of become the unofficial mayor of the Black American community in Lisbon. He posts all about his experiences and his love of his new home on social. What I wanted to do in this episode is chat with Rory about his experiences, and I'll get some recommendations for my 2-week trip from Porto to Sintra to Lagos. Actually, that's pronounced Lagos. I learned in my travels, and then on to Lisbon. So this will be a 2-week road trip that I'm taking. So I think that that's all I want to say. I want to get into it with Rory right now and see what he's got to say. Have a listen. Rory, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast that I've started, the Robins Have a Wings podcast. And as you all know, I'm about to plan a trip. I'm going to
Hmm.
Portugal. And the reason why I wanted to have you join is because you're a little bit of the inspiration for this trip.
Oh, thank you.
I chose Portugal because so many people have been talking about it. It just seems to be this hot destination for so many reasons: culture, lifestyle, and seeing you there is inspiration enough, right? You seem to be
Thank you.
really enjoying yourself. And
I am.
so I would love, first of all, just tell me your name, who you are, what you do, and why Portugal.
Excellent. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I am Rory Verrett. I'm the managing partner of Protege Search. We are an executive search firm that works with nonprofits, B corporations, mission-driven companies to do executive recruiting for C-suite leaders, board members, and their direct reports. We also do executive coaching and we do convenings. So I gather, recruit, and coach purpose-driven leaders all around the world. There are 8 of us at the firm, 2 of us here in Portugal, and 6 in the United States. And Portugal. So I'll give you the Cliff Notes version, and you can zoom in on some of the topics as needed because it's quite a long story. After the 2016 election, my wife and I started thinking about having a place that's a plan B for us. And my daughter was in elementary school at the time, and the idea was to think about living abroad for a year to give her that experience. We had studied abroad in college and grad school, and to give her that experience. And we traveled to South Africa, loved it, but thought it wasn't really practical given the distance and the just the travel it takes to get to and from, and with 2 elderly parents, just didn't work. And around the end of COVID, we had spent all this time cooped up in the house looking at other countries. And like you and thousands of other people, like something's happening in Portugal. What the heck is going on in Portugal? And we decided as soon as the world opened up, we would take a trip to Portugal. That trip wound up being a 2 month sabbatical that we spent in Portugal. And I knew by the third day here that I would live here at some point in my life. I just knew it in my bones and my soul. There was community, there was soul, there was an acceptance and a welcoming environment. It's physically beautiful, the weather is great. And we bought what we thought was going to be a vacation condo here that we'd come back every August and live this European vacation holiday thing of more than a couple of weeks. We'd work remotely. And that was in August. In April of that next year, there was a mass shooting at my daughter's school in DC, a school that we had moved to under duress because there was a threat of a mass shooting against Black kids at the public middle school. And so we frantically applied for a private school admission, got in, thinking that that would render my child safe. And of course, the irony is that the biggest shooting in American history at a private school happened at Burke School in DC. So we decided that moment we need to accelerate this live abroad situation for our collective mental health and just for safety. And we naturally thought of Portugal because we had a place there. My daughter applied to two schools late in the semester, got in, and she came as a sophomore. And a month ago, she graduated from a Portuguese international high school.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So let's go back a little bit. So this turned into a 2 month sabbatical for you.
Yes.
And you said within 3 days you knew.
Hmm.
What were those things in the 3 days that you encountered? What were you feeling? What were you seeing? What was it that really sealed it for you?
I think part of it is contextual about when we came. So we came at the end of COVID. So this is after most people have gotten the second vaccine, but people are still masking up. And the
Mhm.
culture was everybody was masking up. Nobody was looking at you crazy if everybody was masked up. When you had to get your uh, proof of vaccination, all the stuff you had to do, right? Like late COVID, I was doing that in a foreign country. That was orderly. That was affordable to get the tests. It wasn't like there was a run on tests. They had enough tests. It wasn't politicized. So the context of what the United States was like at that time with this issue and what Portugal was like was night and day.
Yeah.
We also found a surprising amount of ethnic diversity. Portugal looks like, I tell people, it looks like Brooklyn in the 90s,
Mhm.
where you have people from all over the world. There was an interesting scenario I found repeatedly of two things. One is really earnest, thoughtful hospitality. Now, I'm from New
Mhm.
Orleans, one of the hospitality centers of the world, and I know what good hospitality is like, but this was sort of so genuine that I started thinking it was fake. I was like, this is what is going on? Like everybody can't be this nice. We're in
Yeah.
a major city of 3 million people, and people are treating you as if you're in a country town. And so there was that repeated kindness from the Portuguese themselves. And then I think it was the safety of it all. You could walk home at night to your Airbnb or your hotel at 2 in the morning, and there's not really a robust police presence, and there's nobody following you. And there are women walking home at 2:30 in the morning, staring at their phones. So I found the peacefulness of it to be wonderful. And then lastly, I'll just say it was easy. I think if I'd gone to a country that had a high language barrier, it would have been that friction would have been enough to be a
Mhm.
little disconcerting. Portuguese will wave you off. No, it's okay. I speak English. No, it's okay.
Mhm.
Don't worry about it. I speak English.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so it just made it easy. It was on some cases very different, but instantly familiar. And people that travel to Portugal will say that like wow, this is familiar. I'm like, yeah, because it's like New Orleans, it's
Mhm.
like San Francisco, it's like Rome, all put in a blender, but it's still different than what you see in the United States, and it feels different.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. So this is it. Like, I mean, you're saying this, and having made the move, and then I know other people who've traveled and come back with these incredible stories that are
Hmm.
just that the people really make the destination for them, as well as the beauty of the architecture and being near the beach and all
Yes.
of those things. And for me as a traveler, what I love is that combination of things. I love to have those options to be able to say, "Oh, I can get to the coast if I would like
Hmm.
to," or "I wanna
Hmm.
spend time in an urban environment,"
Hmm.
and food is paramount to me as well, and so all of these things seem to be wrapped up in a nice package in this place. So these are some of the things that I plan to do in my travels. Just to give you a little background on my itinerary, I am going to be there for 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And I am starting in Porto. And my plan there is obviously to do a wine tour and to,
Hmm.
really dig into kind of the wine culture there. I'm also going to take a making class.
Hmm.
Um, and so I'll be there for maybe 3 days or so. And then I'm going to drive down the coast to experience all that. I gathered a map from a friend who's
Hmm.
traveled here, and so there are different places that she stopped, along with other people who've added to the map. So I'm looking forward to just kind of taking my time down the
Hmm.
coast. And then I plan to stay in Sintra,
Hmm.
which I understand is beautiful, kind of this
Hmm.
fairy tale castle atmosphere and exploring the architecture there. And then driving down to Lagos,
Hmm.
to, spend some time there, also understanding a little bit of the history there, right? This is, kind of the beginnings of colonialism, from this port town. So
Hmm.
really digging into that a bit and then making my way back up to to Lisbon and
Mm.
being there for about a week, to
That's a
really,
good. That's a great
you know,
itinerary. I like that
yeah.
you're spending. I'm now a Lisbon partisan. I tell people, do not
Mhm.
split your time between Porto and Lisbon. No diss to Porto,
Yeah.
but it's not the same scale of city with the same
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah, and also my thinking about being in Lisbon for that period of time is to really try to live, like a local. I'm gonna be in a
Hmm.
house,
Hmm.
I hope to, cook for myself and try to,
Hmm.
take that on to kind of get that vibe to understand what might it be like to live here, and if I do ultimately want to, I
Hmm.
think this will hopefully give me a good taste of that. Um so hearing all of that, maybe let's start with Lisbon, where you live. How does one do that? Um,
Hmm.
Start to feel like a local. What are some things, customs I might need to know, or things that I might need to know to try to blend in a little bit?
A few things. Number one, the language barrier comes into force when you shop for groceries. So it doesn't it's not preventative. There are English translation
Mhm.
spices but they don't translate what tomato paste is from tomato sauce. So you got to figure that out with Google Translate or
Mhm.
ChatGPT or something to figure out what each item is. The second thing is the food here is much fresher than what you might get in the United States. So you wind up going to the grocery store 2 or 3 times a week because the nectarines that you buy on Monday, you have to eat them by Wednesday or they will mold. There's no alar or any kind of pesticide on them. So you make, you go to market as it were 2 or 3 times a week. And I think you'll find the prices to be amenable to a person with common sense and a
Mhm.
budget of what you pay. That's when you really feel the big difference. I think real estate here is about the same as it is in Washington, D.C. at this point. But going to the grocery store, entertainment, those options are much different and more affordable. And the last thing I'll say is that this is a city like much of Southern Europe, I think that starts late and ends late. So dinner, if you want to get a meal at a great restaurant that's hard to come by, get a 7 p.m. reservation. Nobody's going to be there. You'll be the first people in the restaurant, and nobody's coming for another 2 hours
Yep. Yep.
because
Yep.
the Portuguese will show up at 9, 9:30 to eat, and then they'll be there to 11. And people look at me and say, I see online, man, how are you staying out till 2 in the morning? I said, well, when your night doesn't begin till 9:30
Yeah.
and the food doesn't come till 10
Yep.
and you eat and there's these long, languid dinners where nobody's pushing you out of the restaurant,
Yes.
you look up, it's 12, you see the restaurant is closing. Okay, we should probably leave. Hey, do you guys want to make one more stop? Okay, let's go grab a glass of wine at this wine bar. Now it's 1:30. That's how
Yeah.
it gets to
Yeah.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
I'm clubbing. It's just I went to dinner and had a glass of wine,
Yeah.
but that's 2 a.m.
Yes, it's the European lifestyle, right?
Yeah,
Having traveled in Paris and Barcelona, especially, these are
exactly. And I
for
love that
me.
as a night owl. Like
Yeah.
I tell people, I have not seen much of Lisbon by day. I don't think I've been to breakfast ever in Lisbon or
So
anywhere.
we
Like I'm
can't
not
ask
up
you
before
about the
10.
cafes or the coffee shops.
Yeah, no, that's my afternoon espresso. It's not the morning thing for
That's not
sure.
the morning. Fantastic. And so you've talked about driving. You've talked about driving,
Hmm.
between countries, but tell me a little bit about driving in Portugal and what I need to know as I kind of make my way down the coast.
The Portuguese drive quickly and aggressively.
Okay.
Think, I'm looking at you, Italy. You think you drive crazy? No, the Portuguese drive aggressively and fast. So you just gotta get ready for that.
Okay, be ready. Okay,
You
got
gotta
it.
get ready for the use of the blinkers, like the lights flashing, and
Yeah.
the hazard
Uh-huh.
signal is a signal. So people
And what
use
does
their
it
hazards
mean?
a lot. It means I'm either pausing to stop or something. It's not like my car is incapacitated. It could
Yeah,
be
no, it's
I'm
just that I'm slowing down, I'm
right.
pausing.
Right.
Okay, got
Right.
it.
It means a bunch of different things that are like the yellow light of your personal driving style. Like
Got
I'm not moving at the appropriate pace of what's
Yes.
expected. Just bear with me.
Uh-huh. Okay,
And
okay,
it's
so
just informal communication between the lights flashing, your hazards, the horn honking has gotten worse, but
Mhm.
it's typically it's weird. There is a strong emphasis on pedestrian safety. I mean, like
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
it is incredibly strong.
Mhm.
And so if anybody walks into that pedestrian lane, you have to stop. And everybody does it. And most people are, I'm in a
Y
rush or whatever,
yeah,
or you came quickly and I didn't see you. But
yeah.
everybody has to stop. So when you're at a red light, the red light is actually closer to your car because they want you to stop and not put your like nobody is in the intersection here. Nobody
Mhm.
stops on the crosswalk.
Mhm,
Everybody
mhm,
stops before the crosswalk. So
mhm.
sometimes you're close to the crosswalk and you can't see the light. And
Yeah.
so it'll be a deep deep, people will like, I know you can't see it, but
Yeah,
the
yeah,
light has
yeah,
changed.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
like
I'm just kinda
get the heck out of the way.
yeah,
It's like
I'm
deep deep,
giving you
light
a
change.
yeah,
Right.
mhm.
Right. So you
Well,
just get you learn
it's still
you learn these things.
polite. Yes, it's
Yeah.
still polite, but just yeah, absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely.
but don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. The Mafalda and Tiago's gentle politeness when they see you as a shopkeeper, when they get behind the wheel of a car, I think it's a different
Right, right,
personality.
right.
It is
It
a
changes. That's a whole 'nother
different
persona.
personality.
So
Hmm.
this is good. I rented an automatic car versus
Hmm.
manual.
Hmm.
Given that I learned how to drive on a manual, but I don't want to be in another country trying to figure it out.
On the hills,
Right.
on
So
the
I said, let me do this. Okay, so that seems like that was a smart move.
hmm
You mentioned the Ubers,
hmm
pretty ubiquitous around
very very
Lisbon.
big. Like we don't need a car. We bought a car so that we could take road trips and so that we could get out of Lisbon and just do like I'm president of a wine club, so to go to wineries on the weekend, just a half hour, 45 minutes away to see all of Portugal and
Yeah,
take road trips. That's why we bought a car because renting a car is can be more cumbersome. It's just more expensive than you would think, and to get it, like I went to the airport for an hour and a half to get a rental, and I was just
yeah.
if you don't need a car, Ubers and there's a company called Bolt, Bolt. It's a
Mhm.
cheaper version of Uber, and you can get around town there and back in most places in Portugal in $15 a night.
Okay, cool, cool.
Like
Uh,
$7 going, $7 coming back, and it's safe and they're ubiquitous and they come. It's no problem at all.
Wonderful. So there's also other forms of transportation, tram, bus. Have
Hmm.
you how reliable, I guess, are those if you're going to think about
Very,
it?
Very, very reliable. I actually like driving. I mean, I
Uh-huh.
actually like driving. My
Mhm.
favorite form of transportation is the short form European road tour, like I'm doing one in a couple of days. 3 or 4 hours in a car going through a town, stopping for lunch in this medieval village, getting back in
Yeah,
the car,
that's
stopping
it.
for coffee. Like that's my jam. That's better than I'd rather do that than fly first class.
Yeah,
I'd rather do that than a really elegant train. Like I like physically driving. I think it's
yeah,
fun. And we have a Mini Cooper, so it makes it even
yeah,
more fun.
yeah,
And the roads here are wonderful. I like
yeah.
this is gonna sound completely geeky, but I like comparing the rest stops. Like Europe has some really nice rest stops.
Yeah,
Italy has the best of all. Italy has really wonderful rest stops. France has great rest stops.
yeah.
Portugal has some really upscale rest stops
Okay,
too. I mean, it's not
okay.
just like the BP and you get,
Yes,
it's like a cafe and you can get a whole
yes.
meal
Okay.
at the gas station.
Oh, I'm excited about this. Yes,
Yeah.
that's same I have the exact same vibe.
Hmm.
That's how you can get on the ground. You have your own time to yourself, and you can make your own itinerary. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. You have a
Um,
lot of fun.
let's get into the jazz. Like this is what I love about about seeing what you're posting and how you're sharing kind of this music experience in Portugal
Hmm.
seems to be unreal. So you shared some of your recommendations across your social media channels. Are there any new things that have popped up that I should know? And also, just why? Why is
Hmm.
jazz such a thing, in your opinion? There.
I think America's greatest export in the history of the country is essentially Black culture. And I was yesterday riding my bike on a beautiful path along the waterfront, and I stopped because this could have been a scene in LA, Miami, New York. It was this beautiful basketball court where the court was like this mural, or I don't know if you call it, but it was painted in some artistic design, and it was brothers just playing pickup basketball. And then somebody had a boom box or a speaker box, and they were playing 90s hip hop. So it was like Scrubs, Aaliyah, they were Kevin Campbell. I mean, they were
Mm.
playing all this, and I'm
Okay,
like,
okay,
am
yeah,
I in
so
Lisbon, Portugal? And so there is an appreciation and a love for Black music in all of its parts. I would say jazz is actually a part of it, but the story goes deeper than that. Hip hop is huge here. Huge. You'll see kids walking around with Tupac shirts. There was a mural, and this was not an untrained artist. This was a really exceptional artist who did an entire mural. I'm talking 6 feet tall of Rakim's head
remember
on
Kim.
a Rakim. Like we ain't talking about like, oh,
But
they did Tupac or Biggie,
no, no,
whatever.
no, this is
Rakim. I'm talking with the hat on,
oh,
and it looked like this could
wow.
be Brooklyn or something.
So they're going
And they,
deep.
they just painted over it because the building that was a door and they had to paint over his face over the
Yeah,
door.
yeah, yeah.
But it was this probably commissioned artwork of Rakim. There's one of Snoop. There's one of Tupac around Portugal. So you will go to restaurants and cafes and they are playing hip hop, American hip hop. They'll throw some Afro beats in there. They'll throw some French hip hop in there, and they'll throw some Portuguese hip hop in there. But hip hop is an American art form.
Okay, okay,
So you're going to hear it everywhere. You're,
okay.
you're going to hear it everywhere. And in terms of jazz, shout out to Ashanti that opened up Nisa's Jazz Lounge. That is our cheers. Everybody goes there. A lot of visitors go there. But there are also places like Comones Art Bar. Comones Art Bar did a Roy Hargrove tribute concert. Again,
Wow.
this is a little bit in the stacks for
Yeah,
non-Black American people.
yeah,
A Roy Hargrove tribute concert that was amazing.
yeah.
So you can get a lot of great live music that is a reflection of Black culture here all the time. And you will have your culture celebrated, and it's not done in a cartoonish or
Right,
bastardized way.
right.
It's done with respect. And that is also a part of what makes this place deeply fulfilling.
Fantastic. I love that. I love everything about it. Um, the wine. You're head of a wine club.
Hmm.
I don't know much about Portuguese wines, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I've been to New Zealand, I've been to, Argentina, so I've picked up some different things from other countries, but I don't know much about the wine there. What would you
Hmm.
say is so great about it? And if I'm in Porto, if you've been to any places there, are there any recommendations you have um there?
Yes. I would say, and I say this with respect, Portugal's wines are like the Hyundai Genesis of the wine world. It was once considered affordable table wine. There were some vineyards that were high end, but the average Portuguese wine was underknown by the broader population
Yeah.
because during the dictatorship, they didn't sell it. I don't think they sold it at all outside of Portugal. So there was no wider distribution, and you had Spain and France and Italy that are these giant wine. I think Portugal is number nine in terms of wine production. These giant wine producers that dominated what people thought about when they thought about European wine. Now I think back to the Hyundai Genesis analogy, it's like Genesis. Like Genesis has some cars that will rival Mercedes, rival BMW, rival the highest end Lexus cars available. And Portugal over the last 20 years now has wines that will rival the best wines in the world. The average wine in Portugal has gotten a whole lot better and it's still much more affordable. There's not yet the hype around Portugal's wines the way you had about, Super Tuscans in Italy or Bordeaux or Burgundies in France or some of the Riojas or whatever in Spain. It's still relatively underknown. You can go to supermarket and you can get a wine that is a 90-point rated wine or higher for $7.
Mhm.
$7. You get a $40 value wine for $7. So I am very bullish on the wine scene in Portugal. If you're in Lisbon, there are most of the vineyards that are full scale are about 30-45 minutes away from the city center. One of my favorites around town is a vineyard called Casal Santa Maria. It's in Sintra. You should definitely go there. Tell them I
Okay.
sent you.
Yes,
It
yes, yes.
is it is the best rosé in Portugal. And it
Ooh.
is rosé that is as good as you will find in Provence or anywhere else. Wonderful rosé there at Casal Santa Maria. Outside of Lisbon, again, you go 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you're in wine country. The whole country is wine country. So you're in wine country the minute you get on the interstate to go anywhere. In Porto, obviously, you're in the Douro Valley. You have the Douro Valley and the Dow region close by. I would definitely take one of those scenic Douro Valley tours. The
Yeah.
wine on the boat is going to be incredible. If you stop at any of the vineyards along the way, they're incredible. So what I also want to recommend are great wine bars in Lisbon. To me, my favorite night out is being at a wine bar. And there's a new place I go called Uva Livre, Free the Grapes, that my man Justin started. I just met him. We become fast friends. He's got a great venue. He's very knowledgeable. He's very, very talkative, and he'll kind of hang with you and talk
I
to you
love
about
it.
what you want to drink and
Yeah.
recommend things that are not obvious. There's a place called Red Nose. That's a really wonderful wine bar, small wine bar in an area called Campo de Rique, or as the Portuguese say, Camp de Rique. And Masha there will is an encyclopedia of wine, will help you out. There's also a place called Ruby in Camp de Rique. There's a guy named Ishmael there that'll help you and guide you through that. They have a caramelized pork bow
Oh,
that the food there with
just
wine pairings is just incredible. So ask Ishmael to pair something with the food that they have there. There's so many others. There's Club de Chateau, which is a mashup of French and small producer French and Portuguese wine makers. These are independent winemakers, a lot of them organic winemakers, and they have tasting events. They have wine trivia night. We had
Mhm.
our first event there. It was a brunch of champagne versus Portuguese sparkling wine kind of tasting there at Club de Chateau. So many wine. I think there are 40 plus wine bars in town.
Yeah.
And the last one is near my house is Eight Marvila. There's a
Mm,
wine bar in the Eight Marvila
mhm.
building and complex. That's really cool.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm following up. You're gonna have to
Yes, no, I got you. I got you.
write those down. Now we've talked a little bit about Black culture just kind of
Hmm.
being infused. I'm gonna take this African Lisbon tour. I
With
think that
Naki.
everyone does,
Yes.
yeah. So I've signed up for that. I'm really excited about it. And it seems here, you'll get a little bit more of kind of the backstory of Portugal's role
Hmm.
in, colonization, etc. What else can you say about that? You've mentioned, the Portuguese seem to be super welcoming. How do they kind of address um,
Hmm.
this history? And how does that come to life, I guess, in your day to day, if it does?
This is armchair history because I'm clearly not a
Yeah.
historian.
Yeah.
I think that there are a couple of things that conspire to make the issue of people of color living in Portugal, the Black Portuguese community, interesting and distinctive, and not completely immune from living in another European colonial power, former colonial power. What's different, for example, if you go to Spain, I have found, this is just my experience, that the Spanish, they sort of tolerate you and there is some friendliness, but it's not a warmth.
Mhm,
And the Portuguese are reserved but friendly. Like I have a seamstress, a tailor to get stuff done. And she was at first, I would have Google Translate, hi, because she speaks no English. Hi. Now when I see her, we're almost hugging each other. And
mhm,
this is not somebody, it's not like my neighbor. This is
mhm,
a woman that hems my pants. I mean, but
mhm,
it's like,
mhm,
oh, good to see you. Oh, what are you doing? I'm learning more English. I'm learning more Portuguese. And I maybe I would get that in Spain, but I think it's the fact that the colonies are closer geographically to
mhm,
Portugal.
mhm,
Spain's colonies are in South America largely. And
mhm.
so I think the immigration policy in Portugal has been more liberal.
Yeah.
I think that the way the colonial empire ended in Portugal is different than the way it, for example, ended in France.
Mhm,
And
mhm, mhm.
so there are some French people that have some real serious issues with Algerians.
Sure. Yeah.
That I don't think you have this hostility
Mhm,
toward the folks from African colonies. That's in the culture. Now,
mhm,
is there over policing in black communities in Portugal? Yes.
mhm,
The same way you have in these other European
mhm,
cities. The Portuguese, I think, by their own devices, their own mentality, I think that they collectively think, some people think it was a kinder and gentler version of colonialism. And I
mhm.
don't mean that by government policy or anything. I just think
Oh, that's
when you
nice.
talk to people on the tours, for example, you go to see the Monument of
Mhm,
Discoveries, those people were people that were involved in the slave trade.
mhm, mhm.
And they don't mention that. It's just, oh, we were a seafaring nation.
Yeah.
Okay, well, where were those ships going? Well, what were
Yeah.
those ships carrying? Can we talk about that? And so you don't always get
Yeah.
the
Okay.
footnotes to the story or the main point of the story,
Sure.
right? You were not just looking for fish out there. Okay,
Yeah.
there was a global human trafficking scenario that
Mhm.
was happening.
Yeah.
So I think there is a public debate in Portugal about how to deal with and wrestle with that history. You will have some politicians that will say things that are consistent with what you will hear from the right in America or the center right in America. But there are some people on the left in Portugal that will say things that you would never hear in America. Like, we have to atone for this. We have to
Mhm,
consider the issue of
mhm,
reparations. I
mhm.
mean, that has been said by white
Yeah.
political Portuguese figures that you will not hear in the United States.
Sure.
So while I don't accept that it is a kinder, gentler version of colonialism, I
Mhm,
do believe the lived experience here, while not perfect,
mhm,
is, if you had to rank it among European countries where black people live, both black people who are native Portuguese and black immigrants,
mhm.
I think they would say the lived experience is less hostile,
Yep.
more amenable culturally
Mhm.
than it is in even a lot of other European countries. And I think Europe as a whole, quite different than the United States.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's helpful. That's a helpful perspective to have, and, yeah. I mean, I think that all, I think, goes into why this might be an attractive place for you or anyone else considering some place to live, right? Is to know that there's
Yeah.
some
I mean,
measure.
if it was the absence of some of the constant vigilance you have to carry in the United States. I think personally, my family, we'd be fine. That we would have been fine in Finland. We would
Sure.
have been fine in Sweden. We'd have been fine. If it's not like overt racism and it's just, hey, my culture isn't represented,
Mhm. Mhm.
that would have still been better
Mhm.
than what, than,
Mhm.
my daughter might get murdered at school.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this was not a, hey, the United States, things are getting kind of testy politically.
Yeah,
This
so
is
this
like,
is really a safety issue for
yeah,
you. So
it's not a
thank you for
theory. It's not, I see that
absolutely.
gun
No,
violence.
this is real. Right, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
when you add into that in Portugal, that there is this reflection of your culture, there an appreciation of your culture, the Portuguese culture itself, the modern Portuguese culture itself is open and
Mhm.
welcoming. People will say, how could you move to the country that started the slave trade? I said, I didn't move in 1650,
Right, right.
right?
Context is everything, right?
They're
Yeah.
not enslaving black people in Portugal right now. They're playing tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
right. Absolutely.
They're playing Kendrick
Oh,
Lamar in the
yeah.
Uber. So, there's value
Yeah,
in that.
yeah,
There's value in that, and that is culturally resonant for Black Americans in a huge way.
yeah, yeah. Well, Rory, you've continued to inspire me. This
Oh,
is
thank
I
you.
mean, now I have more more data, more information to take with me into my trip, and I use all this as background, right? Because ultimately it's going to be me kind of experiencing it on my own and taking these different data points to with me as I plot my own course. So, I hope to connect with you after the journey and kind of maybe
Absolutely.
compare notes. And
I tell people living in Portugal feels like the moment the first Black person in America like discovered hot sauce. And it's like, this changes everything. Like, if you experience this, this is going to
Right.
change everything about
So
how you
I'm gonna
eat.
be forever changed, you're saying to me, Rory? Wow, that's
I
huge.
I believe if you lean into it
Yeah.
and you have the courage, I think a lot of people come here and they're expecting everything to be on the same familiar terms as what they're used to in the United States.
Mhm.
And it's not. You are going to have to bend and adapt. But
Sure.
I think if you have curiosity
Yeah.
and courage, you're going to find an amazing culture. I'm a huge booster. I call myself the ambassador from Portugal to Wakanda. And
Yes.
it's not a paid job. I'm not making money off this. I probably talk to easily 100 people
Yeah.
about Portugal. Like I must be, I don't smoke weed, but this must be what happens when you're the weed guy. Like people like, hey man, Johnny said to talk to you about, you know what? People call me, hey man, Marcus said to call you. I'm like, I don't know who Marcus is. Okay, but anyway, I'll tell you about Portugal. So I'm a huge booster. It has been transformational for my family on every level. Our physical health is better. Our financial health is better. Our mental health is better. Our cultural health is better. Our
Yeah.
social health is better. I only wish I had done it 20 years ago.
Mm, mm, mm. It's a ringing endorsement, a ringing endorsement. Well, thank you so much again, Rory, for taking the time,
You got it.
to talk with me today, and, we'll be in touch.
All right. Happy travels.
Right. Okay, so I really enjoyed that chat with Rory, and, as I said, we'll reconnect again for a debrief on my visit. But my next episode, I'll be in Porto. Um, it's the home of port wine and actually where the story of Portugal begins. So stay tuned, come back. You know what they say, like and subscribe, drop a comment if you liked what you heard. I'm also posting on my Substack, substack.com at Robins Have Wings, where I'll be posting more photos and videos and reflections from my time in Portugal. Thanks for joining. See you soon. So I really enjoyed my chat with Rory. And as I said, we'll reconnect again for a debrief on my visit. My next episode will be in Porto. It's the home of port wine and actually where the story of Portugal begins. So stay tuned, come back. You know what they say, like and subscribe, Drop a comment if you liked what you've heard. I'm also posting on my Substack at Robins Have Wings, where I'll be posting more photos and videos and reflections from my time in Portugal. Thanks so much for joining. See you soon. Welcome to Robins Have Wings, a travel podcast. Welcome to Robins Have Wings, a travel podcast about taking flight and embarking upon unexpected journeys near or far.